So today I wanted to talk about the impact of small frequent tasks. So what I'm talking about is kind of the regular things that you have to do throughout the week, or even really anything, like things that you have to do over the course of time. Sometimes we have things that can be accomplished more easily by breaking them down into smaller tasks that we can do when we have a few minutes. And often certain tasks, if we break them down and do them more frequently, they become less time consuming overall because they sometimes require more effort to accomplish when you wait and then kind of do it all at once. And also, a lot of times we just don't have those longer spans of time available to get these types of things done. And due to the nature of the task, they might just feel like more manageable by doing little pieces at a time than tackling them for longer periods of time, less frequently. So I'm going to share some examples of some tasks that I have found become much more manageable by doing small bits of them on a more frequent basis than waiting and kind of getting everything done like once a week or every other week or something like that. Of course, these tasks might not be the best way for you to do things, the ones I'm specifically sharing, but I thought that just by sharing some examples of things that I have found easier to break down and do more frequently than less frequently for a longer amount of time, it might give you some ideas of something you could break down into smaller pieces to make things a little bit easier. And the thing is too, with these tasks, the great thing about breaking them down is that a lot of time you can find little bits of time where you can squeeze things in, where maybe if you wait to do something that's going to take you like a half hour to an hour, if you do it once a week, it might be more difficult to find that long of a span of time to get these things done. But a lot of times you can find like little bits of time throughout the day where you can get a little bit of something done. So while you might not have a full like half hour or an hour to devote to certain things, you might be able to find little spaces of time. Like for example, maybe you're waiting for something to finish in the oven. Maybe you're waiting for water to boil. You might have a short break between dropping off one child and picking up another child. Really, whenever you might have a few minutes to spare here or there in your day, you can take advantage of that time to try and get a little bit of something done. So some of the things that I have found helpful, one thing that's really big for me is tracking expenses and recording like my transactions. So I have found it to be so much easier to take 10 to 15 minutes a day to record and reconcile all of my checking and credit card activity. And whenever I'm not able to keep up on doing this, it takes me so much more time because I can't always remember what the transactions were for. It's funny how like 4 or 5 days can go by and I just literally cannot remember what certain purchases were for. Like, what did I get at Target? What did I stop at the food store to like pick up something extra, or whatever it was. If I can record it like that day or the next day, it's just so much quicker because I don't have to spend time trying to figure out what the transactions were, because I do often forget. Even when I have the receipt, I just still can't remember because certain times, the descriptions aren't done in a way where you can necessarily easily see what the items were for. And especially when I make purchases at one place that go to different budget categories and I'm trying to look at a receipt and figure out like what the different things were for so I can put them in the right budget category. I usually eventually do figure it out, but it just takes a lot more time and effort. And when I take a few minutes to keep everything updated on a daily basis as much as I possibly can, I pretty much always remember exactly what the transactions were for, and I'm able to easily record the expenses and apply them to the appropriate budget category. So rather than sit down for like an hour on the weekend or whatever, if I just kind of take a few minutes in the morning or maybe at night when I sit down to like relax or whatever, and just record the transactions real quick, it's just super quick and easy, and I remember what the things are. Also, another thing I've been doing is with paying bills. So this is something I just kind of started trying to make a habit lately, is trying to pay bills when they arrive. Because it literally only takes me a couple of minutes to pay a bill, and I don't normally seem to get too many bills in the mail at one time. So like if say 1 or 2 bills comes in the mail, instead of sticking them away in my folder to pay them later, I've been trying to just take a couple of minutes to pay them right away. I pay all my bills using the bank's online bill payment service, so it takes like no time to enter the amount and have it sent off. And then I just record it quickly in QuickBooks, which is like what I use to keep my track of all my accounts, and then I post it against my budget spreadsheet. So the reason I started doing that is because certain bills I found have really short deadlines, like from when you get it till when it's due. Like cable, for example, I feel like is really short. My cable bill, we don't have cable, but like we pay the cable company for internet access. And I have found that like sometimes I don't realize that like an extra week went by when I should have paid bills, and it was just a really busy weekend. And then by the time the next week comes and I go to pay bills, I find out that I'm now late on the cable bill. So I've been trying to just, if a bill comes in the mail, I'll just take like a few minutes when I sit down for the night and just pay it real quick. It takes like no time, and then I don't have to worry about accidentally paying something late and then getting a late charge. So that's just something that I've been trying to do that seems to be working well, but like I said, I just started it. Another thing is meal planning. So I used to spend a ton of time with meal planning. And in general, if any of you listen to my meal planning episodes, you know that I've definitely simplified my meal planning with rotating meals regularly so that I have like a basic plan to work with. And if I'm not too busy, I can switch out something new, switch out a meal for something new. But if I don't have time or energy, I still just use the basic plan. But the way that I've broken down meal planning into small tasks, and above that simplifying that I use by doing the meal rotations, is that what I do is I try to plan a future meal like pretty much every single day. So for example, if we're having hamburgers tonight for dinner and my general meal plan says that we have them every 2 weeks, I put that meal on my meal plan for 2 weeks from now. So I use a meal planning app, but this could be done in a notebook or a notes app or however you track your meals. But even like for the meals that I don't rotate on a regular basis, I still try and do that. So like say for example, if we had something like lasagna, like I don't make that often, but I might say, okay, we had lasagna tonight. When might I make this again? It might be 2 months from now. It might be 3 months from now, but I'm able to scroll forward in my meal planning app, or same thing, like I said, if you were using notes or a spreadsheet or whatever, I'll go ahead at whatever point in time I think might be a reasonable time to make this meal again, and I'll put it on the meal plan. So the whole point is just really looking at today's meal and copying it to a date in the future. So I'm constantly filling in days for future weeks, and it only takes me like a minute because it's literally just one meal. It's like, okay, what did we have today? When might I make this again? If it's a regular rotation, I just go forward 2 weeks or whatever the period of time is. Or if it's something I don't make that often, I might say, okay, well, maybe this is something I might want to make again in 2 months. Go ahead, put it on. It takes me like no time because I'm not thinking about like figuring out a meal. It's just the meal we already had. So then what happens is usually when it's time to plan meals for the upcoming week, I only have to fill in like maybe 1 or 2 days, if that, because I'm filling in the meals for the future weeks 1 day at a time as I go along. So I'm not sitting down, searching for recipes, trying to figure out what we're going to make. I'm just doing it each day. So that has really helped me a lot. And I can do that pretty much at any time. Even if I'm at work and I'm on my lunch break, I could just look real quick. Oh, what are we having for dinner tonight? Okay, when am I going to make this again? And I go forward and put it on that future week's meal plan. Grocery shopping list is also another thing that I kind of work on little bits at a time. So the meal plan app that I use creates a grocery list for the meals that are in my meal plan for that week. And then in addition to that, of course, I have a list of general things that I purchase every week, like milk, eggs, bread, that type of stuff. So once I have my list together, I check the fridge, the freezer, the cabinets, when I'm going to, while I'm doing things, to check them off my grocery list. So rather than like doing it all at once and saying like, okay, I gotta go through my whole list and go downstairs in the freezer and see what meat I have, and then I gotta check the cabinets to see what pasta I have, and then I gotta check the fridge to see if we have eggs or whatever. What I do is just, while I happen to already be going to the fridge, the freezer, or the cabinets for some other purpose, that's when I'll try and check. So I'm kind of working on it throughout the week up until the day when I actually have to go shopping or place my online pickup orders. So like, for example, if I'm pulling out frozen shredded cheese for a meal, while I'm there, I'll check how many packages of frozen cheese I have. So then I can go to my shopping list and say like, okay, It says I need 2 packages of cheese. Well, I see that I already have one that's not planned to be used. Check that off, and then I know I need 1. If I'm going in the cabinet to get some pasta, I'll check and see what types of pasta I have, then I'll go check my list real quick and say, okay, I need penne pasta for next week. I see I already have 2 boxes, so I could check that off. So I try and just make it part of like my regular daily activity. If I'm opening up the cabinet to get like out olive oil or something, I'll take note of how much I have, and then I'll go look, okay, I needed that, let me check it off. I kind of already have in my mind like what was on the list, so I'm kind of making it a point to look for certain things so that I can remember to see if I still needed it or not. But just kind of like checking throughout the week while I'm doing other cooking tasks or grabbing other ingredients for cooking, I can cross the things off a little bit at a time when I have time here and there, instead of having to go specifically to the freezer or the fridge or the cabinets at a separate time and then checking what I have on hand. I try and do it when I'm like already in there in those areas getting other things for cooking throughout the week. Cleaning or straightening up. So cleaning and straightening up is definitely something where many tasks can be broken down into small pieces that you can do whenever you have a little bit of time. So one example I have of this is that my daughters are often in a hurry to get out to school or work, and they leave things all over the bathroom sink, like brushes and face creams and I don't know, like eyebrow brushes and whatever, just all kinds of random stuff. And it's not something that I should have to clean up. I totally get that. And we're working on that, getting to a point where they can give themselves a little more time so that they can clean up before they leave. But either way, the point is that it drives me crazy waiting for them to get back and have them put their things away. So instead, what I started doing recently is instead of getting really annoyed at the messy bathroom every time I go in there, I just started putting one thing away at a time, either if I went into the bathroom or even if I just walked by it. So just putting one thing away felt like nothing. And before I know it, the bathroom would be back to normal. So like I said, of course, we're working on getting that to not happen anymore. But really, it's more just the point of like whether or not it was my responsibility to clean up the stuff. The point is more just that there's a bunch of stuff out. And rather than saying, oh my gosh, I have to go in there now for 20 minutes and clean up all this stuff, if I happen to walk by the bathroom or happen to walk in the bathroom, I would pick up one thing and put it away. And before I would know it, everything would be put away. So it's just kind of the point of how you can kind of just do a little bit at a time, and it ends up making a big difference. Another thing is putting away laundry. So laundry is something I definitely like to break up into little bits on days when I'm working from home and I don't have time to stop what I'm doing and put a whole load of laundry away. So once I have a clean folded basket of laundry done, I kind of put it next to me where I'm working. And each time I get up, I grab something and put it away. And before I know it, the basket's done, or I just have a few things left to put away at the end of the day. So like, for example, I find that this works especially well with towels. If I get up like while I'm working in the day, say I get up to go to the bathroom or like whatever, if I'm heading in the direction of where our linen closet is, I'll just grab one towel from the basket and fold it while I'm walking that way and just put it away. So each time I get up to get a drink or like whatever, for whatever reason I get up, I just take literally one towel, fold it and put it away. And it just really helps because you're going to get up and take a break anyway, even if it's just like for a minute or two. And it just helps. It's just one little thing, put one towel away, and then before I know it, it's all done. So just try and think about what tasks you can break down into smaller pieces. Of course, the things that I was able to break down might not work for you, or you might not even want to do that. You might enjoy doing them all in one big shot of time. But it's more just about thinking about what things are you struggling with, or what things maybe you don't like doing for a long period of time. Like maybe you don't like sitting down and paying bills for like a half an hour to 45 minutes on the weekend, and you'd like to just do them as they come in. Or maybe you'd like to, do your meal planning more quickly. Like I said, the things that I gave examples those are just things that work for me. But it's more just about trying to just provide you with some examples so you can really maybe think about some of the things that you have to do on a regular basis that you might be able to break down into smaller pieces and fit them into those little spare moments that you have throughout the day so that you could make progress on them throughout the day and not having to spend a longer amount of time to have to sit down and really devote to getting those things done. So I'm hoping that these examples will get you thinking and help make your life a little bit easier. So that's all I have to say about this topic today. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget you can email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at lolasfrugallife. You can find blog posts for each episode on my website at lolasfrugallife.com. And we also have a private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would really love it if you'd screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I can see that you're listening. Also, if you can take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast, that would be really helpful to me. That is what helps the show grow because it pushes it up higher in search results. Also, if you're interested, there is a link to financially support the podcast in the episode details. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a really awesome day.